Today, we are diving deep into a global chess game, a high-stakes battle worth well over $1 trillion. But this isn't a fight with soldiers and tanks. It's a battle fought with silicon. We're talking about the tiny, microscopic chips that, quite literally, power our entire world.
You've probably heard these famous words from Winston Churchill. He was talking about the Royal Air Force pilots during World War II, this idea of a very small group having a massive, history-altering impact. Well, fast forward to today, and that's pretty much the exact situation we're in. That one island is Taiwan, and that one tiny product is a semiconductor. This incredible concentration of power has given rise to a really popular idea about global security.
It's a concept that gets thrown around a lot. People call it the silicon shield, this belief that Taiwan's absolute dominance in chip-making is actually what keeps it safe from harm.
The thinking behind it goes something like this. First, China's own massive economy would grind to a halt without Taiwan's chips, so why would they ever attack their main supplier? And second, the rest of the world, especially the US, is so dependent on those same chips that they'd have no choice but to intervene to protect the supply. You know, it sounds pretty solid on paper. But that shield might be a lot more fragile than we think.
So why is this shield starting to show cracks? Well, it turns out that this kind of deep economic dependence isn't always a guarantee of peace. In fact, some argue it could actually be a major source of tension.
See, while having strong economic ties definitely makes war more costly for everyone, it also creates a huge sense of vulnerability. If you feel like your entire country is dangerously dependent on a rival for something absolutely essential, well, that feeling of insecurity can make you more aggressive, not less. And this brings us to something called trade expectation theory. It's a bit of a mouthful, but the idea is simple. It argues that what really matters isn't just the trade you have right now, but what you expect to have in the future. So, if a country starts to worry that its rival might cut off its access to a critical resource, like chips, it might be willing to do something drastic to make sure that never happens. And this little chart here shows you exactly how that dangerous logic can play out. If one power starts to fear a trade cutoff, it gets pushed down this path toward what's called intensive countermeasures. Basically, it starts to get aggressive. The fear itself, whether it's real or not, raises the stakes for everyone and pushes the whole system towards a much more competitive and, much more unstable future. Okay, so let's zoom out and actually look at the global chessboard. Because this dependence on semiconductors has created an unbelievably complex and fragile situation. Just making a single modern computer chip is this incredible global dance. You've got the US dominating the design phase, then you have Europe and Japan providing the super specialized equipment needed to make them, and finally you have East Asia, especially Taiwan and South Korea, handling the actual manufacturing and assembly. It's a system that was built for maximum efficiency, but it's also a system with some really terrifying single points of failure.
And right here, this is the biggest one. When we're talking about the most advanced cutting-edge chips, the brains behind our smartphones, our AI, our most advanced military systems, Taiwan manufactures a staggering 92% of them. Let that sink in for a second. More than 9 out of every 10 of the world's most critical chips come from one single place.
It's why former Deputy Secretary of Defense Bob Work said this: "Our entire modern world is basically hanging by a thread that's just 110 miles wide, the width of the Taiwan Strait. And you better believe that this reality has sent absolute shockwaves through governments all around the globe."
This extreme vulnerability has kicked off a massive global race. Nations are looking at this fragile supply chain and saying, nope, not going to trust it anymore. Instead, they're pouring hundreds of billions of dollars into building their own chip fortresses right at home.
The biggest player in this race, without a doubt, is the United States. They've committed a jaw-dropping $280 billion through the CHIPS and Science Act, all aimed at one thing: bringing semiconductor manufacturing back to American soil.
So what is all that money actually for? Well, a huge chunk goes directly into subsidies to build new factories or fabs. There are also big tax credits for buying equipment and billions more for research and training. But here's the really crucial part. There are guardrails. If you take US money, you are banned from building any new advanced fabs in China for a decade. This isn't just a subsidy. It's a massive strategic realignment.
And make no mistake, the US is not alone in this. This is a truly global scramble. Europe has its own CHIPS Act. Japan, South Korea, even India are all pouring enormous amounts of money into building up their own domestic industries. Suddenly, everyone wants their own secure supply.
So what we're really witnessing here is the redrawing of the entire map for the world's most important industry. The old rules are being thrown out, and the fundamental philosophy of how we make things is changing. We're moving away from a world that was all about global efficiency to one that's now focused on regional resilience. We're shifting from just-in-time supply chains to just-in-case redundancy. Manufacturing is no longer just a cost to be minimized. It's now seen as a core strategic asset, something vital for national security.
At the end of the day, the new priority isn't just about making things as cheaply as possible anymore. It's about security, it's about resilience, and it's about having control over the one technology that is going to define the rest of this century.
And that leaves us with the big trillion-dollar question. This frantic global race to build walls around the world's most vital resource, it's all meant to make everyone safer. But as all these nations compete for the same talent, the same materials, and the same technological edge, will this new fragmented map actually lead to more security, or is it just creating new fault lines and entirely new kinds of conflict?